we found out that this workshop is really important for the success of the internships, because in the past we had like partners that wanted to start the internship, but they didn't know exactly how things would going to work. So we came up with this workshop to actually delineate what the internship is about and what we expect from the partners. And we also have this conversation with the interns in the cohort calls. We try to create cohorts between them. And we are going to talk about open science and how the internship works, the timeline, and we have an activity to help you think about the internship that you want to host. But first, land acknowledgement. We are a cross-Canada project, and we live in different places. We live and work in traditional, ancestral, treaty, and unceded territories of many Indigenous people. I am here in Vancouver, Mike is in Regina, and Sam is in Montreal. And we encourage you to find out about the Indigenous people of the place where you live. So the Living Data Project, the Data Rescue Internship, is based on the open science principles. But what do we mean by open? So open are things and projects and ideas that are designed for understanding, sharing, and participation and inclusion. So these are core values and things that we keep in mind when designing LDP projects. So open projects specifically, they are designed to build and empower people to collaborate in inclusive communities. This is a definition from the Open Leadership Framework. And by that, I mean that we have ideals and we have actions that we can do to achieve these ideals. So for example, when we design for understanding, we focus, we can action through storytelling and community interactions. And when we build for sharing, we can have actions like networking, documentation, data stewardship, things like that. So there are a lot of actions that we can do to make our open projects more impactful and inclusive for everyone. So open science have values and principles that we try to align our projects with. So some of the values, for example, are quality and integrity, equity and fairness, diversity and inclusiveness. And some of the principles are flexibility, sustainability, collaboration, and responsibility. But all that means that we need to actually make a change of culture. It's not something that we can impose or just teach people. So there's these values and principles connect in different spheres in our society. So first we have to make this culture change, we have to make it possible, then make it easy, then make it normative, make it rewarding, and make it required. In Canada, we have some actions that make it normative and make open science required. For example, with this roadmap for open science that we have published in 2020, that ask for federal departments and agencies should develop strategies and tools to implement fair data principles to ensure interoperability of scientific and research data and metadata standards by January 2023, with a phased plan for full implementation by January 2025. So we are in this transition phase where all the research in Canada should implement open science principles. We are going to talk about these terms later, like fair, interoperability, things like that. And also from this same publication, an open science strategy for federally funded research conducted outside of federal government agencies and departments should also be developed. So that's not a request for federally funded research, but also government agencies and departments. And within the Living Data Project, we try to make open science easy, normative, and rewarding through our courses, certificates, training. We try to make students create a portfolio, also using the internships, and also encourage publications that have the same values and principles as open science. And why open data matters? So they say that open data have the potential to allow Canadians to retrieve information about the world around them. And open data can also support an increased pace of discovery and innovation, as well as the provision of more complete advice to decision makers. So that's something that we really care about, and how to advise decision makers. So that's why it's so important, our partnership with NGOs or governments and things like that. And the definition of open data that we are using here in this workshop and internship is from the UNESCO recommendation of open science. So open data is digital and analog data, both raw and processed, and the accompanying metadata that can be openly used, reused, retained, and redistributed by anyone, subject to acknowledgement. So what does that mean? Raw data means that is your data, the data that you are bringing to the internship. The processed data is the data after the internship, which will be accompanied by metadata, that is data about the data. And we usually do that during the internship. So as the intern is getting to know the data, the raw data, and working with it, they are trying to refine or create the metadata. And when we talk about redistributed and subject to acknowledgement, this means that we need to attach a license to the data that will be published. And open data are also available in a timely and user-friendly human and machine-readable and actionable format, in accordance with principles of good data governance and stewardship, supported by regular curation and maintenance. So these are concepts that we also care about in the internship. So human and machine readable means mainly that we are sharing our data in mainly text files. So those are file formats that are readable in any operating system, and we can, you don't have barriers to access the information because of the file format. And good data governance and stewardship and these curation and maintenance parts are part of a data management plan that we will talk about probably in this workshop. And we sometimes encourage interns to work with the partners to come up with a data management plan, because this is part of a long-term maintenance of the open data.